Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video. We're talking about how to charge what you're worth. We're with Kathleen Ann from Power Up Your Marketing.
Money and Marketing Mentor.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's
go.
Do it.
Well, Kathleen, thank you for coming along and being on our video today. It's great to have you as one of our guests. And I guess for you guys, the viewers, Kathleen and I we've got a long history. We've known each other for quite some time.
Yeah, you were just a lad.
Yeah, look, I was slightly just out of my nappies, but yeah.
A bit more than that.
Yeah,
we've been networking a long time, so we've mixed in similar circles, and we've been, aware of each other as we've gone along as well. And currently, obviously, we're networking even more than ever.
Absolutely, yeah. So Kathleen, well, thank you for coming along today. And I guess, as we said in the intro, Kathleen, what you do is Power Up Marketing is your business, and tell me, what solutions do you provide your clients?
Okay, so I have...
Probably like a little bit of an introduction about who you are, because the audience isn't as lucky as me to know who you are.
Yeah.
So... Yeah,
a little bit of a backstory, I suppose. I have been, earning my own keep, if you like, for almost 30 years. I got what they call the Don't Come Monday invitation, or I call it that, from corporate. I had a great career in direct response marketing, and then I was invited out, and I thought, wow, that's fantastic. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I actually bought a set of golf clubs and played around for a bit.
Yeah.
I was actually on my way to Europe, so I did that first, came back and played around a bit more, and then I thought, I really don't want to go back into corporate, so maybe I'll run my own show. So that was how I got started in business, if you like, and I went into consulting because I had a network back then in corporate, and I had a reputation, if you like. I've made a couple of companies a lot of money doing what I did, selling financial services through direct marketing. So that was like a big mistake, let me tell you.
Well, an interesting journey to start with anyway, at least. You've
got to start somewhere, don't you? Yeah, and if I knew me then, I would have shortcutted a few things.
Yeah. And I think that's the case with everyone. Everyone will say, hey, if I had to start over again, this is how I would do it.
I would have done it,
But that's part of the process, and you learn from, I guess, the journey that you've been on.
Sure. And I wouldn't be doing what I was doing if I hadn't done that, because what I learned out of that lesson is that consulting is like a hiding to nowhere. Having been on the inside, I had lots of people coming to me to sell me stuff, and same as when I got on the outside. I was on that side of the fence then, and then trying to convince corporates to step up and pay me to do what I was an expert at. Long conversations and too many, dips in the income, and too much hard work. So in respect of all of that, that's was the big change up for me, was to realise that I needed a different model, business model. And I actually went and did some training in the States. I went several times and really understood the process and became very excited about the fact that I would change my niche. I would get out of corporate, I'd work with small business owners, predominantly women like me who were looking to find their own way, and I realised that we had a lot of similarities, and that's where the money came into it. Obviously we wanted to make money, but I found myself and others working too hard for what we were making, and I sort of started to put some things together.
So I guess initially you're really saying that to start with, you were going out there to provide your consulting services with what you knew, which you did in your 9-to-5 corporate job.
Yeah.
And I guess, did you find that it was hard getting what you were worth, or getting that customer? Because as soon as you talked about, hey, I'm going to charge you X, Y, Z, they were just like, no, or...
No, because this is the thing. A whole lot of structure needed to be in place. So what I was doing then in consulting was selling my time. So this was the big mind shift, and if you take anything away from what I shared today, who wants to buy your time? When we think about it, how did that happen? From professionals like yourself, your industry turned on the meter, charged by the hour, usually, quarter hour maybe, and it was a accommodating.
The 6 minute increments. Yeah.
In 6 minute
I know about them.
There you go.
Fill that timesheet in, Nathan. I remember when I was like, a junior back in the day, you haven't filled your timesheet in.
Yes. So this is where we had this idea that as professionals going into your own business, that's what you would do. You would set an hourly rate. Now, even specialist doctors, if they had thousands of dollars an hour, it's still capped, still only got the same amount of time in the day that we all have. So the big epiphany I had was, why not sell the result?
Yeah.
If I could fix your problem and I knew hand on heart that I had the solution, why wouldn't that be worth anything?
Yeah.
You'd be prepared to pay me if you wanted me to fix you.
And I guess the other thing as well is that you've taken away for clients that feeling of, geez, this was a transaction. This was quite transactional.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's because, if you can answer something in 10 minutes, good for you. If it takes someone else an hour, well, good for them. But at the end of the day, you still get the same service or the same advice.
Well, yes, but this is the thing. If you can relate it to time, and this is if you're selling services and it's based on any which way around time, sessions, duration, however that is, the conversation comes to a dollar amount, which is going to be fairly fixed, and they're going to be watching the clock, make sure you're earning your money.
That's right, yes.
Yes. And the point being is that you are then like everybody else. You can be shopped around. People would ring up, and how much do you charge? X amount. Okay, they ring another one, and how much do you charge? And didn't we do that from commodity type services?
Like I remember actually, in my early days, the boss would say to me when I actually used to be a receptionist, and this is a bit of a side story, but the first guy I worked for said, look, you'll do. I did want someone with tits, but you'll do. It was a different period 20 years ago. But yeah, he would say, hey, we're going to do some market research today, Nathan. I want you to call up a few accounts in the area and let's just find out how much they charge. Exactly what you're saying.
And then what would you do if that's the reality and you're the consumer and you're basing your relationship with a service provider on their hourly rate? What does that mean when you really, really think about it? So shake up the thinking and think, what am I prepared to invest in to get my issues solved? So this comes back to how to charge what you're worth. You are worth whatever the client is prepared to pay if there's this great match for the outcome that you're getting. So I go, on this side, you need to be market ready. You need to be seen as a professional. You need to have a solution to a problem that nobody else has.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways to solve your problem, but what I help clients do is create a signature system. Now that's simply the steps you take your clients through to get the outcome. It's not based on time. You need to know how long it's going to take so that you've got your floor, if you like, and your ceiling is as high as you like. So it really then comes down to not being able, you don't have to compete.
Yeah.
There isn't any competition. Nobody does what you do. If you niche into a market of very finite niche and you say, I fixed this problem for that group of people and I'm an expert at it, and I do it in a systemised way so I know the outcome that you'll get. I can solve that for you, and I've got all the evidence of my expertise and outcome. Are we going to talk about hourly rates or pricing? You're going to say, okay, where do I sign? Sign here, sign here.
Well, yeah. Actually, and it's great that you bring that up because, I actually have a real life story, just happened with our business. A friend of mine gave me a referral and the person reached out to us and didn't say that, hey, this person referred us, but just wanted to do a little bit of, hey, this is my problem, this is what we've got going on, and yada, yada, yada. Now, the thing is, when we send back an email or communication, we really focus on, I guess, we've got our ducks, in a row, or they're all set up, right? So, I always sort of talk about, well, hey, I want to know about our culture, who we are, this is what we are. So we start building up some trust.
Trust.
Because that's the first important step. And anyway, so, I was out speaking to this person who referred me the other day, and just some feedback. And you always get concerned when someone says, I just want to give you some feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going, all right, where's this going about?
Shall I sit down? Or?
Yeah, exactly. But it was actually positive feedback. And he said, well, look, this person did reach out to you and didn't mention my name for that exact reason, because wanted to almost be like a shadow shopper. Didn't want to be like, I get treated differently because you referred me.
Yeah.
And the feedback I got was that she just felt so much, there was more, I guess, content and more sort of trust built there.
Yeah.
And compared to the other person, just went straight into, this is what it's going to cost. It's going to cost you, X, Y, Z dollars. Sure enough, I did mention about, I guess, how much things were going to cost, because that was a direct question.
Yes.
But before we got to that,
answer it.
we talked about, who we are, what we do, how we can help.
Yeah.
And then also, like, some really, like, even like when we send out our communication, we send like a form to pre-qualify, to understand who we're dealing with before we even have that conversation. So, how can we help you? Can I help you? Can you help me?
Yeah, so, and it becomes a business relationship, and this is the important thing. We all buy services, we know this, so we have to buy what we need. So when we're looking, we have to have the rapport. I like to work with people who have similar values. So we're assessing, hopefully, in a sales conversation, whether we're a match. Because that's the other thing. If you take on clients who are buying the time, they'll give you grief. There's no two ways about it. The people whose first question is, and how much do you charge, is not likely to be a good client, because they're driven by their own mindset, I suppose. They're not necessarily looking for outcomes so much as having to get something done for the least amount of money, and they will be the one putting the least amount of effort into it.
So, if we were to sort of focus on someone who is like that, what is going on in their mind? Why do they ask? Why is their first point of
how much do you charge?
How much do you charge? Why is that the first question they ask?
A couple of things probably. One of them would be around money and their own processes around there. I talk about being triggered about money. There's certain things that set you off, which are embedded really in your subconscious. So that's another area that I work very much on. Besides being market ready, you really have to understand yourself through the lens of money, really to grow and be much more conscious. So if the subconscious is running the show, so some 5-year-old little kid calling the shots, because that's the way we've been ingrained. It's the same as that. How much do you charge came from observing professionals charging by the time. And the big shift is for you, the service provider, not to go down that track, but for the person who's asking the question, they're still in that old style methodology of measuring results on money expended on the time, not on the result. So if I could give you the result that you're after and get you more quickly to where you want to go, like I'm in the business of transformation, I'm a coach, so I know that I can get somebody who's looking for the solution that I offer much quicker down that path than they could go themselves. And you could say that most of our business, but if you don't express that way and you base your charges on the time, of course they're going to want to know how long it's going to take and how much incrementally on 6 minutes or half an hour, whatever it is, capping your income. And the funny thing, Nathan, it really is, you become aware when you've got great clients that people are actually investing through you in themselves. And they are really, really happy to invest it well. They don't mind paying a lot of money because they feel that they're worth it, and what they want it the best they can get it. So it's a big shift around to think that everybody's trying to save money in that regard. No, they're not. They're trying to get what they're trying to get in a way that, they do want it fast most of the time, but they want to enjoy the process. They do want to change. So unless somebody's in a position where they are willing to change, how many people are willing just to sit in their mud or stay in that scenario that's giving them grief, that's eroding their self-worth, that's doing all sorts of whatevers, but they're not ready to change. You can't help them. Have to be, ready to rock and roll.
And I guess, look, I mean, if for someone who is in that position where they're not ready to rock and roll, I mean, what do you think that they need to overcome to work towards being able to be in a position where they can charge what they're worth? What some vital steps? I mean, obviously, I'd say reach out to yourself. Would be
or somebody like myself.
You can reach. Can they get you on Mars for our viewers on Mars? But yeah, I mean, because it is a worldwide.
Absolutely.
Marketplace these days.
There's no borders nowadays.
That's
absolutely
right.
No borders.
But yeah, I mean, like if it's someone who. Before they maybe reach out to someone like you, what can they do to sort of overcome those issues that they're finding?
I would say sincerely, if you're not happy where you are, you really need to think about where you want to be, because there's hell and paradise. And if hell's not bad enough, you're not looking for paradise. But if you had your vision of what you want to become in whatever industry, whatever area, even in your life.
And that could be like anything from like personal gains, wins, or even business successes of where you want to see your business. I guess it's kind of really is having that vision,
that
isn't it?
vision, I think it is. And if you don't have plans to change, how can you change? Like if you don't feel driven to move from one place to the next. So that's the sort of area. I think the first thing is awareness. I think you have to realise that the subconscious is running the show, and you need to be conscious about things. So the first thing is aware. When you become a little uncomfortable about something, that's your emotional guidance counter telling you, take notice, because there's something going on here that's not quite right. And, we do that sometimes. We take an instant like or dislike to somebody. Who knows where that comes from, but it's just an instinctive thing. And if we ignore it, same as taking on a client that you already know is going to give you grief, and you do it anyway, and then later on, what do you go? I knew it. That's what happens. I knew that. It's not going to work. So it's a bit the same. Awareness. Yeah. So that's my thing is if you start feeling like you want to change, then start digging in as to why and what is going on.
So it's really stopping and thinking and actually having that time to process those thoughts.
And not whiz past it, because the more you push those things down, they don't go away. They remain. But that's a very broad in every area of your life, but in business in particular, it's just if you're happy with business the way it is, and you're happy working long hours, and you're happy working for undercharging, and you don't mind the time you miss out on your family, until push comes to shove, just keep going along.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I should say to the audience, who are viewing and watching today, why do I resonate with what you're doing? For me, as an accountant, I see lots of people have this great dream about running their own business, and they get there and they're earning less than they did as an employee. And it just gets me so upset for these people that they're not earning what they potentially can. And I guess, look, I'm going to point to this book here, Profit First. You guys have probably heard me talking about it a few times. I heard this great system and about where you sort of basically start, it's not going to work. Start basically taking from what comes in your bank account and splitting it between different accounts. And what I started to see is when I actually started implementing that system with clients was that when it came to sort of paying themselves at the end, there wasn't enough cash to do so. And usually it was because of a few different things. Either, they were spending too much in the business, or the other thing was that they weren't charging enough, or sometimes it was actually a bit of both. And I guess for me, I can say to someone, hey, you got to charge more money. But I'm just the accountant, and I just do the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So this is probably why I've reached out to you saying, hey, I think you're a great person to speak about what you're doing. So we see this in business all the time, where people are just not earning what they should be.
Yeah.
They just want to charge what is a fair price for, I guess, for what they...
And that's why I think you have to feel good about it. Like, you have to feel good about the value you add, and they have to feel worthy to spend investing on themselves through you to get their outcome. So in the sense of business, though, and marketing, you cannot be a generalist serving everybody, doing almost a commodity type service that can be shopped around. That's why I say you put your stake in the ground. You're expert at something. If you take that path, you don't do those other things. You get better and better at what you're doing.
This is the other thing as well. Like, I had some clients coming recently, and we've got our startup business program, and we talked about, I guess, like, you know, these clients that came in. Well, okay, you're going to do this screen print business. There's a lot of those options out there. How are you different? How are you better? Why are they going to come to you? Because otherwise you're just another business, just another number, and then you're going to have to start competing against price. And it led to a really good conversation, because we started talking about, like, the competition and what they knew was out there. And they were saying, well, there's other people that undercut each other, and it's a really dirty game. And I was like, well, you know, do you want to be
a race to the bottom?
So tell me, like, let's think about, well, if you're going to open up this business, I'm quite happy to help you open a business, but I want to see you open a business where you're providing a product or a service that no one else is offering, and then you can actually get them to pay what you're worth, and then you can actually earn a decent earning out of the business. And even actually, I would even dare say, make a profit. Just not pay yourself, but also make a profit.
See, product is different to services, and product does need to be unique. I mean, if you're doing widgets, you've got to do a lot of sales at a minimal price. Or if you're doing something high end, of course you're going to have less sales, but they're going to be bigger. And whether you're producing it, there's all sorts of additional things. I work with service-based businesses because it's the services that people find hard to price, because there's no methodology around it, because it's just the outcome. And my background was in financial services, and they're not tangible. So a lot of services aren't. Like coaching, the result is not necessarily tangible.
Well, that's right. You can't hold it. You can't hold it, and you can't see it
unless you productise them, which is the system I help clients. Everyone has a system, even if they haven't identified it and
they might not have it documented.
Exactly. They may even articulated it, but you follow it. People say, oh no, mine's organic, it depends. And I go, yeah. What happens is there is a process that they're going through, even though. So this signature system, you actually created a product. By this system, I will take you from there to there.
Yep.
And you will pop out the other end in paradise with what you've invested in, and change your whatever you're after. And people doing that, it can charge higher fees. And if you're only doing that over and over, and the more you get renowned for getting results and kicking those goals, then the more you raise your prices.
Yeah.
And you're worth it. Truly worth it. I mean, how many people go to university, they invest, I don't know, what's it cost now, running up a $60,000 something or other, debt.
It's a bit of money.
A bit of money. And how many have got a couple of degrees, and how many have still not got a job? But they're investing and investing and investing. Well, if you're in your own business, you want an ROI. You don't want a debt. You don't want to have to then... so I think pay now or pay later. If you want to go quickly through your next business block, through a better accountant, better processes, and come out with some profit at the end, that's a system.
Yeah,
that is a system, and it turned your knowledge and your industry on its head, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was a total reverse to it.
Exactly, like, I'm going to do it again as well. Mike, if you're watching this, this book's really getting some good play here today. But, I think this is exactly right. I mean, we talked about how I am a service-based business, and I've sort of found a product that I can systemize and offer my clients. And the end result is that they are actually removing stress.
Yeah.
They're actually enjoying their businesses, and that's why they went into business, because they're
seeing results along the way,
and they're paying themselves.
Yeah.
And they're getting a profit at the end. Whereas, the other flip side is if you're not implementing a system, and it might not be profit first, it might be another system, but if you're not implementing a system in your businesses, no, whatever it's got to do with making money or profit, or even like your marketing, or whatever you sell, if it's a widget or a service, if you don't have a system, it's going to flop over. And I've seen the other side where people don't have systems for their financial, well, I guess their accounts, their numbers, and what happens is they start getting financial stress. They're not paying super for their employees or themselves, which means that's not going to help your retirement. And then they're not paying the taxes.
You might get to retire at that date if you've stressed.
You're on payment arrangements with the ATO, and so then you go, well, geez, I was supposed to enjoy this business life, and this is a horrible ride.
See, a lot of things people think things happen to them, and really, it's as the result of the actions you take that you get those things happening.
Yeah.
They don't come out of the blue. They seem like they do, and they can accumulate, but it does come back to what you think about, and that, like your thoughts create your emotions, your feelings, and your feelings create your actions. That's why I talk about this emotional guidance. If you're listening to your emotions, you know when you have to stop and listen well. And then decide, take action, because you can decide all you like, but if you don't get out of the driveway, nothing happens. And see, some people are afraid of failure, so they can't move because they're afraid to fail, and then others say, they're afraid to succeed. Well, where are you in that scenario? Are you, this or that?
I guess, look, the person who... I saw a really good video with Arnold Schwarzenegger the other day about Arnie. Would you believe Arnie talking about vision and all that? And he was talking about what he had to go through. And he said, you know what? You know who the biggest loser is? I mean, we talk about failure. Yeah, he said, there's a lot of failures I had. And people in general, when you fail, you're a loser when you don't get up. If you want to be a winner, you get back up and you try again. And I thought that was such a great message to say, well, and I know that, even with my business, everything I've done, there have been times where I have sucked. I have done things that just were not right, but you get back up, you improve. You analyse and go, well, how can I do that better next time?
Well, it's another mindset. I believe there are no failures, they're just lessons. Just don't keep having the same outcome and doing the same stupid stuff. Because you get the same result.
But it probably goes back to your childhood as well. When you had maybe a maths or an English exam, especially maths, because maths is a right and wrong answer. And it's a pass or a fail.
Yes.
And I guess, as kids we see fail.
Yeah.
Well, is there a better way to describe that word and take fail out of our language? Well, and go, like you said, lessons.
Yeah, go to the lesson of the child, your first steps, and if you fell over, is that a failure?
No. Exactly.
Really? Are you never going to walk?
That's
no,
right.
Of course you are. You just get up and have another go. The whole thing really comes back to, I think, the mindset that you have and being aware of it. And also, I say to people, there are a lot of coaches out there. A lot of people could help you in your business. And I see people taking on coaches, but they're not ready to be coached because they're not looking at the right person to take them on their next step. So that comes back to, what do you need to do? Look around and see somebody who's done it already, hire them. That will get you where you're going much more quickly and won't put you down a rabbit hole. When I talk to people about, what are you doing in marketing? And they just go on about, Facebook and this, and I said, no, they're strategies. Where are you in the marketplace? What are you famous for? Or what do you want to be known for? And they've gone, well, I want to get a client doing this. And I've gone, well, you need to position yourself in the marketplace, then go out.
Yeah.
People are out there selling.
How many people
marketing.
have you seen out there where they've gone out and got a website and they haven't worked on things like their vision, what they're doing, just the big picture before, and then just gone out and built this website? And that's just
the first thing they do is build a website. And yes, you need to build a website. I'm not saying you don't.
Yeah. But you've got to look at the strategy first, behind
what's up there. Same as LinkedIn profile. What are you putting out on LinkedIn in the media where people are looking? What are you there for? Are you putting yourself in front of the right eyes and audience as a possibility, as a good connection? Because people want to link with you. But if you're just everything to everybody, then there's no reason why someone should reach out.
You're just a generalist, really, aren't you?
Just a generalist.
Yeah.
And how are you going to get the right referral partners to refer to each other if you don't own your bit of the magic that you do, and other people do their bit?
All right. Well, that's been some really good tips so far. So I think if we had to sum up in a minute, a summary of what we've talked about today, what do you reckon? If someone had 1 minute, it's almost like an elevator pitch, but a little bit more. What would you say?
I'd say, look at where you're at. If you're happy, keep going. If you're not happy, work out what you're not happy about. Think about where you want to go. Find the person who's already gone there and hire them. And then hand over to somebody like this guy here to handle all the money you're going to make so that you can make a profit first. And
get that book out again.
I want to help people make and keep more money, but once they've got that, they need it to be well used and serviced. And in a business, profit first. You've got to pay yourself well, but first you've got to earn well.
That's right. Well, I tell you what, it starts there and it ends with the profit. Well, it really does start pay the profit and then worry about the expenses. But anyway, well, look, Kathleen, it's been absolutely amazing having you today, and I think it's probably one of the best videos I've shot so far. It's just really.
We haven't seen it yet.
No, haven't seen it, and it's a big call. Sorry to everyone else who's already done a video with me. But yeah, look, thank you so much for coming along. And I guess the big thing is, let's a bit of a shout out for you. If people do want to find you, once they've watched the video and they really resonate with what you're saying, how can they find you? How can they connect with you?
Well, you can go to my website for starters and just suss me out and see if I walk my talk. And that's powerupyourmarketing.com.